Mr. Gregory Campbell for supplementary.
Mr. Deputy Speaker. Last week at the Enterprise Trade and Investment Committee, officials from Invest NI were very forthcoming in terms of coming to the committee to explain the write-off equation, and I thank the Minister for her officials and for the INI people who did that. But in terms of the spend, Deputy Speaker, to the Minister, in terms of the spend that Invest NI would equate into areas of high unemployment, will the Minister assure myself and those whom I represent that areas that have experienced recent very high unemployment, whether it's Seagate, whether it is areas in Limavady and Coleraine, where there have been significant closures and redundancies and unemployments, that they will receive the attention that they deserve from Invest NI in terms of their spend?
Yes, and indeed I'm glad to tell the member that over this past year we have spent a considerable amount of money in relation to not just looking for new jobs, but actually sustaining jobs that are already here in Northern Ireland. I think the figures are we have been able to sustain around 2,200 jobs that otherwise we wouldn't have been able to sustain. And I think it is important that when people look at the number of jobs that have been created here in Northern Ireland over this last number of years, that they recognise that it's not just new jobs, but that we've been able to sustain jobs here in Northern Ireland as well. Can I recognise that there are some areas in Northern Ireland when they have a very strategic employer like Seagate in Limavady, that when, for whatever reason, that company decides to leave the area, that it has a disproportionate impact on that community. I very much recognise that. It's one of the reasons why we're so engaged in relation to the whole Quinn issue in County Fermanagh, because we know that it is such a strategic and important employer. So we do recognise the difficulties that exist in some areas of Northern Ireland, and we will continue to work with the local representatives in relation to dealing with those issues.